Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about a very important decision that is going to stop you from breaking up with your PMDD partner. I'm so excited to have you here in 2023. And I think I really want to start this off by getting our minds in the position to stop the monthly breakups. This is one of the core things that I do with my private clients, but I really want to share it with you today. And it's actually something that I've had to practice in my PMDD relationship lately. So we just got back from Lake Tahoe for the holidays. And when we were coming back, there was a lot of arguments that we were having within the home. And then you go on vacation and it kind of translates over there. So I was looking forward to going to Lake Tahoe with my PMDD partner and kind of getting away from the arguing and the talk of breakups. We had actually just had a, conversation where breaking up had came into play. And then we went on the trip and we had another, argument. And the first thing my PMDD partner says is he was like, you know what? I could just, catch a flight back to the house, go get all of my things. We can file the paperwork and get a divorce and break up. And it was after a heated argument that we had been having. And I noticed that as the years have gone by, I kind of stopped bringing up divorce, breaking up. And it took me a while. That used to be the first thing that I said. I'm like, you know what? I don't need this. I'm going to let you go. Like, we can just break up. And it was during PMDD a lot of the times. And there was a very important tool that I used that I'm going to talk to you about today that stopped me from even bringing that up. And what that tool is you have to decide that this is your PMDD partner. And I know that sounds very simple and you're like, no, I know it's my PMDD partner. But when you make a decision and you're deciding this is my PMDD partner, this is my person, you're taking the option of breaking up off the table. And sometimes we don't notice it, but maybe ourselves or our partners have not made that decision yet. And I noticed that my partner hadn't made that decision. He had once made it, but sometimes you have to recommit, right? You have to have this recommitment. I do it with my private clients. Sometimes we do the recommitment ceremony where you're just recommitting yourself to your PMDD relationship, to your PMDD partner, because what happens is if you are not operating within the realms of you literally thinking, this is my person, that we don't have the option to break up, this is not a thing, we just have to figure it out, you never really go towards utilizing any of the tools because you think that you always have a way out. You're like, oh, my tool that I'm choosing to use that's so easy is just to break up. But when you make that decision and you take breaking up off of the table, then you're forced to, okay, so what can we do about this? So I'm trying to remember, there were like several reasons why my PMDD partner, like, oh, I had a list when we went there, and we got into an argument and then we weren't seeing eye to eye. And then I made a list, which is what I've done a couple of times. And I'm like, these are the list the reasons why I should not be with my PMDD partner, the reasons why I should be with them, and the reasons why I should not be with them. And do you know that I had 24 reasons to break up with my PMDD partner? 24 listed out. They were all separate things too. And it was a lot of things that I'm like, we need to deal with this. This is not working for me. This is not working. Like 24 different reasons to break up. And when I looked at them, the more I looked at that list, and I was like, this is so overwhelming, because you can kind of do one or two things, but 24 things. So when my partner was like, I can just pack up and leave, I'm like looking at that list, like, well, maybe you should, because I don't know what to do with this. It's kind of like a lot of my private clients come to me with all of this built up anger and resentment, and they kind of think, well, we're too far gone. Maybe in my next relationship, I'll be able to deal with this. This is just too much for me to handle. But the core of what could get me to the next step of solving any of those 24 things was remembering the decision that I made a choice that this is my PMDD partner. And when you do that, it is a conscious choice that you have to remember every single day. This is why I changed the name of my PMDD partner in my phone. Like it used to have, like at one point it had husband, at one point it had his name. Like I've changed it over the years, but when I made that commitment to say, you know what, I'm choosing this person, I put in my phone, my person. And what that reminded me of is every single time I was picking up the phone to talk to my PMDD partner, I wasn't just talking to my PMDD partner, I was talking to my person. And you only have one person. So if you're going to make your relationship work, you have to make it work with this one person. But so many times we think immediately when we're triggered, we think about how our relationship would be. Maybe I'm just with the wrong person, and maybe if I was with someone else, it would be easier. And so there's a journey that gets you to this point of thinking that breaking up is an option, because you're not really thinking that this is your person. And we all get triggered, whether you suffer with PMDD or you're the partner that doesn't suffer with PMDD. We all have emotional triggers, and there are just situations that seem to catch us off guard, comments that your partner can make. When you're in PMDD and you get so offended, and then when your partner's in PMDD and you hear things, you get offended. Both partners get offended, and you might be enraged by someone that like triggers you that way. Like when your PMDD partner triggers you, you kind of see them as a different person, and you start looking for options. Like, what can I do to get away from this trigger? What can I do to get out of this situation? Because it doesn't feel good. Once your PMDD partner has triggered you, it does not feel good. And so you think breaking up would be the best thing for you to get away from that bad feeling so you can go back to feeling good. But I want to talk to you about what gets you to that point of wanting to break up. I'm going to talk about the choice, but before we get to the actual commitment, the choice that you need to make to say, okay, this is my person, this is my PMDD partner. Before you get to that point, we have to figure out why you're wanting to break up with your PMDD partner. So we each have a unique set of buttons, emotional buttons that trigger us. What triggers me may not trigger my partner, and vice versa. Like, I know that's true. Absolutely true. Like me, if you attack my character, then all of a sudden I'm triggered with my partner. If you're late, like he's very structured. So there's certain things that you have to know about your PMDD partner. So if you're listening to this and you want to exercise to do that's really going to help you, I want you to write down the things that trigger you. And it doesn't matter if it's one thing or 50 things. I want you to write that down and have a discussion or give it to your PMDD partner so that they understand these are my emotional buttons. These are the things that trigger me. And so our reaction to being triggered while in PMDD is very erratic, it's very explosive, it's very exaggerated, it's very damaging because not only are we emotionally triggered, but we have all of this PMDD symptoms going through our mind and our body, and our partners are subject to that. You know, they have their own set of symptoms from dealing with us and PMDD, from us just having PMDD. Even if you're on your best behavior, your partner can still have symptoms from you being in PMDD because they're having to deal with that emotional shift. It's not a normal process for one person to go from one personality and one mood completely to another one and not be affected by it. Our PMDD partners are just as affected with PMDD as far as the relationship is concerned. So they do develop their own set of symptoms. I know for my PMDD partner, he gets very, very high anxiety. He's very jumpy. He's very on edge. For example, funniest thing that happened. So I was about to, where was I? I was about to come into the room one morning. I had gone downstairs to kind of walk the dog and done my morning routine. And then I was coming back up to get something out of the room where he was looking behind him. I don't know what he was looking at. Maybe he was just looking back in the room. And then he turned to come forward to come out of the room. So he didn't see that I was standing there. And he literally jumped. And I was like, what the heck? And he was like, oh my gosh, you scared me. Oh my goodness. And what happens is when I'm in PMDD, he's on high alert always. For any interaction that happens with me, he's on high alert and he's very jumpy and irritable and just expecting the worst, right? When they've gone through situations where there's been a PMDD rage and explosive things that have happened, he gets to the point where he's always expecting it, and it's a natural response, even if I'm not doing anything. He's very, very jumpy. And so I noticed that by spending more time with him over the last couple of weeks, he was just kind of waiting for one of his emotional buttons to be pushed. Even if I wasn't doing anything, he was kind of like prepared for it, almost being like, I'm going to try to like be so guarded and so, prepared for what you might say and do so that hopefully it doesn't catch me off guard. Because I know that he said so many times with PMDD rage that it's the worst part of it is that it's caught him off guard. And you know how that is, where your PMDD partner makes a comment, says something to offend you, then all of a sudden one of your emotional buttons have been pushed, you've been triggered, and you go off. And you can go from sounding nice and loving and connected to sounding like a evil monster and saying things that are so below the belt, things that we cannot really take back. That's a whole nother episode. I'm going to talk about the comments that we make in PMDD and how it's so damaging to our partners, and then their response to it too. Like it's on both sides. When PMDD rage comes, like both people are saying things that are damaging and hurtful. And then when you're trying to move forward, those negative things are still replaying in our minds. But I want you to just really think back on all the times that you've been triggered, and think about the things that you've said, the things that you've done, and see if you can see a pattern. Recognize the pattern of your emotional triggers over the next couple weeks, specifically over the next month, like while you're in PMDD, while you're not, and just notice when your triggers take a turn, when your emotions take a turn, and then think about the root cause of that. And that's something that you can actively work on. If you need help with that, make sure you reach out to me, because that's something that we do. One of the first things we do with my private clients is identify your triggers, and then we determine the cause of them. And it's always deeply rooted. And then once we determine the cause, then we can work on that. But so many times that there's things that you need to work on in your relationship, but you don't really know what they are. So I'm here to provide you with that clarity. So if you need help, you can book a session with me on my website, www.inlovewithpmdd.com, and you can go to private sessions, and that's where all my private clients go to book theirs. But the first thing is to observe yourself, right? What triggers you, and then figure out why. The next step I want to give you is to ask for help. Okay, so when I'm saying ask for help, if you know that your trigger is specifically related to PMDD and it's something that happens in PMDD. So whether you're the partner that suffers with PMDD or whether you're the partner that does not suffer with PMDD, if you know that it's PMDD related, then you need to be talking to a PMDD expert. So many times, a lot of our private clients have come to me and said that they're so frustrated and they're glad that they finally found me because they have counselors, therapists, all of these things that they use for all of the other issues in their life. And they're assuming that when they say something about PMDD, that their counselor, their therapist, their person is supposed to know how to handle it. But if they're not familiar with PMDD, you are going to be teaching them instead of them teaching you on how to handle it and how to navigate it. You're actually going to be giving them the information, and your sessions are going to be filled with you educating them on PMDD. And you should not have to pay for you to teach someone on what to do because you never really get your issue resolved. You're just talking to them more about it, which is a form of talk therapy. My approach is more of a coaching aspect because I give you active tools to use versus just talking about what's going on in your PMDD relationship. Not only do we identify what's going on, but I give you tools to manage it because I don't want what we uncover when you identify it to cause damage to your relationship and cause you to break up. So that's my main goal for giving you the tools. It's like, okay, we're recognizing that this is the problem, and now I'm going to give you the solution. Talk therapy, which is what a lot of clients do, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. A lot of that is just shifting your mindset, which is amazing. Like I told you before in previous episodes, I have had therapy, counseling, and all these things for a lot of different issues that I've had in my life, specifically with childhood trauma. And in those issues, like childhood trauma, like it was helpful for me to do something called talk therapy, CBT, reprogramming my mind about what happened to me in the past. And that's what I needed. That's what I was looking for. But with PMDD, I need something that specifically helps me present day in my relationship, or it is not going to make it. So that is why my tools are the way that they are. So I strongly suggest that if you're not talking to a PMDD expert, you need to be, because I don't want you to just talk about your issues and not be able to have the tools to do something about it. Because what that means is even if you talk about them and you feel better, then if you're making mistakes and you're doing things wrong or your partner's not doing things that you need, they're going to continuously do that. You're going to continuously do the same thing and you're going to get the same result, and then you're going to get frustrated. So make sure that you're talking to a PMDD expert. It is not easy to know yourself. So no, it's not easy to know yourself and to know your partner because you are you and your partner is your partner. So the way you see yourself is very different from how your PMDD partner does. So if you are thinking that you're not doing anything wrong and your PMDD partner is just getting triggered by you for no reason, and you're not able to identify maybe this is connected to a PMDD symptom that you're having, maybe we need to look more into that, then you are going to be frustrated with your PMDD partner for not getting it right. You know, so many times I've seen clients where they're like, I told my PMDD partner, I sent them a link and told them what PMDD is. And I'm just so frustrated that they're not helping me or they're not showing up as supportive. Well, the reason why they're not doing that is because it takes more than just an article. It takes more than just knowing that you're in PMDD. When you tell your PMDD partner that you're in PMDD, that all they think is, oh, here we go again. It's about to be crazy. It's about to be a mess. I just have to protect myself. I have to get defensive. I have to, and then they're going to go to blaming everything on PMDD. None of that is supportive for you. What you need from your PMDD partner is for when you get into PMDD that they're able to support you. That's the whole purpose. But you're not really getting your purpose fulfilled because you're just telling them that and not giving them the tools and the way of actually supporting you best. You're just saying, or if you tell them, which I've seen a lot, is You be like, I'm in PMDD. So all you need to do is not take things seriously. You need to make sure that you do this. You need to not do this. We're not going to have sex because I don't like to be touched. I need more attention, or I need more space. I need you to understand that I could talk to you however I want to talk to you, and you just not take it personal, and then we'll be fine. And my PMDD partner calls it walking on eggshells. And he also has told me plenty of times, I'm not a robot. Like, regardless of what you think I'm capable of when I get into PMDD, like, he's like, when you get into PMDD, I'm not like a robot. You can't just program me to be okay with everything that goes on with PMDD. And that's why I had him actually on the latest session of the group, the PMDD partner support group. He was actually on there as a surprise guest. Since he was home, he came on, and it was amazing to just have his perspective on everything, because he sees things from a partner's perspective. I can tell you what he goes through from my vision point, from what I see, but when he explains it, it sounds very in depth, and the partners will really identify. So if you've been working on yourself and you've been listening to me, and even if you're my private client and you've been doing the work specifically with me, but you know that your partner needs help, your partner needs to hear from other partners and know that they're not the only ones going through that, then make sure you join the PMDD partner support group. I'm going to have it open, enrollment open for a couple more weeks, about a week and a half or two, because I want to cap it at a certain size. I want to keep this as an intimate group. I don't want this to be one of those groups where you get lost in. I'm going to be having the sessions. They're going to be recorded Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but the recordings will be available to all members, that you can unlimited access. You can watch it whenever you want. I know I have a lot of international clients, but I really want you to be able to have the value of being in the PMDD partner support group, of hearing from my partner, and then also getting a workbook and working through the tools every single week. There's so much value in this group, and I opened enrollment in December, so I'm just going to focus more on that in 2023, and really making a community that is supporting not just the PMDD sufferers, us that suffer with PMDD, but also the partners as well, because I know how frustrating it is to try to explain, to your partner, especially when you have like brain fog and like things are already not making sense to you, or you're not able to articulate them the best. I've had so many private sessions where they're like, oh, I wish that, my partner could hear this, like I wish my partner could hear it the way that you explain it, because I really think that they would, benefit from it. So I'm going to do a brief overview later on about the PMDD partner support group, but basically what it is providing your partner with the tools that they're going to need to support you best, so that you don't get into these monthly breakups. So the last tool that I'm going to give you, and this is how it's going to work for the podcast moving forward, is that I'm going to give you a lot of these tools to practices that you can do on your own. And then I'm going to go deeper in the PMDD partner support group with the workbook, because I want you to be able to have notes that you can, work on and actually start doing the work and using these tools. And so the next tool is to make a list of your emotional triggers. Like I was telling you before, looking for the patterns, not just for you, but for your PMDD partner as well. I know so many times we're thinking about ourselves, because we can feel when we're triggered. We know what that feels like, but our partners may not. And they may not know how to express it. So there's multiple ways that you can go about this. You can ask them to write it down. You can have a conversation with them and say, hey, honey, babe, dear, whatever you want to call it, because you want to talk to them in a way that's not confrontational, where you're like, you need to write down all the things that bother you. You don't want to be like very demanding about it. You want them to be very open, because if you come to them really aggressively, or where they don't feel like it's a safe place, then what's going to end up happening is they're going to shut down, and kind of give you these cookie cutter things like, I just want you to be nice, or I just want this. Like, you want them to be able to go deep within their triggers and really knowing, okay, these are the things that bother them. I had to do that. This last couple of weeks, I noticed new things. So things that didn't used to trigger my PMDD partner now trigger him. And I have to constantly adjust and use these tools, again and again and again, because I can't assume that because it's never bothered him before that it's, that it doesn't bother him now, because now he was like, oh, well, that bothers me when this and this and this. And we had conversations about it. And I was like, what? Like, I was so surprised. Like, I'm a clean person, like as far as cleaning up around the house. When I get into PMDD, there are certain things, mainly laundry. That is my main thing. I can wash laundry all day long. I can dry laundry all day long. But when it comes to folding the laundry, when I'm in PMDD, it's almost like I give up. Like, it's not happening. I have a pile and piles and piles and piles of clean clothes. And it's almost like it builds up and I put it in like different places. So we have this big closet, and it's not like a closet that has like the things where you can hang things up. It's just like a big giant storage closet, and it's downstairs. And, I was doing all this laundry, and then I just didn't, like, I put it on the couch. Have you ever done that with your laundry where you put it on the couch because you feel, or you throw it on the bed because you feel like if you see it, then that means that you'll fold it? That always works for me. When I'm not in PMDD, that absolutely works because I don't want to keep seeing it. So I'll just go ahead and fold it. I'll put some music on or put some headphones on or talk to a friend. And I'll just start folding the laundry and just getting it done. Well, this particular time when my PMDD partner was home, I just put it in the pile and I just moved it from the couch, and I kind of like thought about folding it, but I didn't have the energy because I'm in PMDD. So I got a basket and I put all the clothes in the basket, and then I put the basket in that big giant closet that I was just telling you about. And I did that once, and I was like, okay, it kind of made me feel better because then I didn't see it anymore. And so I did that for 1 load, 2 loads, 3 loads. And because you have to think, PMDD is like 14 days. And so, I kept putting it in there because I was like, I was doing the laundry and then I would put it in there and we would go on trips. Like, we were going out of town. I took my partner on a surprise trip for the new year to Napa. So we went on an overnight trip there. We had an amazing time, but I kept using this closet. And then one day, it's like the little kid that like the parent comes in and your room looks clean. And then they open up the closet and everything falls out. So he opened up this closet and he was like, oh my gosh. Like, I was so mortified because at this point I was like putting the clothes in the basket and then just kind of shoving it in there. I wasn't looking fully at the closet. I probably didn't want to see it. Cause I don't know if you're like me, like if you know that you don't have the energy to do some things in PMDD, you don't just want to like dwell on it because it makes you feel like a loser. So I just kind of like put it in there, and then he saw it and he was just like, oh my gosh, you have everything in here. And then he was talking about the kitchen floor. Like, I clean, but he likes things pristine, like super, super clean, like OCD. And so he started off just doing a lot of the things. And then towards the end, I think it's the day before yesterday, he was just like, yeah, it just really bothers me the way that, those clothes are in there, or the way the floor, it only took me, what did he say? It only took me 10 or 15 minutes to like get on the floor and clean the kitchen floor, like with him on my hands. And he was just explaining it to me. And I was shocked because things like that never used to bother him. So it was this is why you have to have these conversations, and you have to take the constructive criticism, right? Don't let this be a trigger for you, your partner telling you that there's things that trigger them. So many times that has happened to me before too, where I'm trying to figure out why my partner's triggered, and then I get triggered from the reason that they're triggered. Like, now I'm triggered because of something that they told me about them being triggered. So now we're both triggered, and then my partner feels what does he call it? He calls it like shotgun blasting. I'm trying to figure out a way to like explain it. What he means is he's taken off guard because he's kind of like, hey babe, tell me what's going on with you. And so he thinks it's a safe place. And then as soon as he tells me, I get really defensive and I'm like, well, you should have done this. And I was doing the best that I can. And then now all of a sudden he's like, I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have fell for it. I knew I shouldn't have like said anything. I fell for it because I thought we could just have an open conversation. And now you have an attitude and now you're triggered. And so many times that can happen. When you make this list, like I'm telling you to do, it's not a list to blame your PMDD partner, and it's not a list for your PMDD partner to blame you. And sometimes, like I told you about my list of 24 reasons that I had to break up with my PMDD partner, you have to piecemeal it. And what I mean by that is you have to go through it one thing at a time. You can't be like, here's 50, you can't give them all the reasons all at once because it's so overwhelming when you do go to discuss it. And we did go discuss through all of the 24 things, but in wrapping this up, what I was talking about in the beginning of this episode is after I've been triggered by my PMDD partner, what always brings me back is that I have to make a choice. And what I'm noticing from my private clients and from talking to you on Instagram, if you don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram name is In Love with PMDD, and I am on there 7 days a week. I post my journey of whether I'm in PMDD or whether I'm not in PMDD. But if you want to get behind the scenes of what's going on with me on a daily basis, then go follow me on Instagram. And you can also DM me. I spend about 2 to 3, which is almost 3 to 4 now, hours a day, just DMing PMDD partners, talking to them, checking in, just connecting with you all, because I know things come up for you during the week. And if you're not my private client, you don't have direct access to me, but that is the best way to get in touch with me during the week. But what happens is when you don't make a choice that this is your person, this is your PMDD partner, that option just kind of sits there. And I'm noticing a lot of PMDD partners have yet to make that decision, or they need to make it again, right? They need to recommit. And what that looks like is saying, it is time to let go of the option to break up with my PMDD partner. If you ever want to have a mantra for all of 2023, so many people are doing this. They're having mantras about their health and wellness, about their finances, about all these things. But like I told you before, anything that happens in your relationship is going to affect every other area of your life. So I want you to make that commitment, make that decision with me today and saying, I am choosing my PMDD partner. I am choosing to let go of the option of breaking up with my PMDD partner. And I am committed to using the tools to stop damaging my PMDD relationship. I am committed to using the tools to stop damaging my PMDD relationship. When you make this commitment to yourself, you are taking away the plan B. And for us, the plan B is the plan breakup, right? We're getting rid of the plan B and we're choosing our PMDD partner. What that means is I could have 24 next month. I could have another 24 reasons to break up with my PMDD partner. I could have 50 reasons by the end of the month, but I'm still choosing my partner, my person to work on this stuff with. Like I'm not going anywhere. And I think that security is so valuable specifically for my PMDD partner because it has really eased. I had the conversation with him the day before yesterday when we were in Napa. And I said, some days are going to suck and some days are going to be beautiful. I have come to terms with this. I've been in enough PMDD relationships where we all know with PMDD, some days are worse than others, and you're willing to just take PMDD for what it's worth for whatever day is. You just have to deal with the symptoms and you just have to deal with it. And some days are good, like when you're in your follicular days, and then some days absolutely suck. And I told my partner, I said, you know what? Some days with you might suck, right? You may have really triggered me. I may have gotten really offended, and tomorrow's a new day. I'm not going anywhere. The answer is not plan B, plan breakup. The answer is that we have a better tomorrow. I don't even try to immediately, turn the situation around the same day sometimes. Like if we're out, especially if we're traveling and we're out and we're doing stuff, like I did that when we were in Lake Tahoe. There was just one of the days we argued and it was just horrible. And he wasn't seeing, because he was getting defensive. He wasn't seeing my point of view. And him not seeing my point of view was really triggering me. And the more I tried to like force it, like over explain it. Have you ever done that where you're like trying to get your partner to understand something? So you talk about it, but then you talk about it again and again and again, and they still don't get it. And it's just more frustrating. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like then you really feel like you want to break up because you're like, someone else would understand. You just don't understand because you're not my person. Like this is when plan B always comes up. And I want you to just make that commitment. Some days are going to suck and some days are going to be beautiful. If I could like put that on a t-shirt and like send it to all of you to wear around the house, like I would do that. Because then it's like you're letting go of the expectation that everything in your relationship is going to be perfect. And it's like, I could tell that a weight was lifted off of my PMDD partner when I said that, because he was like, yeah, that is true. It's kind of like, I'm not asking for perfection because I'm not perfect. I mean, mostly because of PMDD. But like, I know that some days I'm going to be, what's most damaging for him is the distance. So me getting avoidant, during PMDD, that's damaging to him. And I know some days I am not going to want to do the loving things. I'm going to be more avoidant. And that's okay. I'm just going to do my best for that particular day and then start fresh the next day. I'm not going to put the pressure on me to be the perfect PMDD partner, because then I'm going to feel like a failure. My self-esteem is going to take a dump. And it's not going to help me show up to the relationship any better than I did before. So I hope these tools really, really helped you and your PMDD partner. Make sure you go to my website and you join the PMDD partner support group so that we are going to be talking specifically about this topic. When you go into the PMDD partner support group, which I have made very affordable, because it's actually the most affordable way to work with me, because I wanted to be able to service more clients. As you know, I am working on my dissertation and defending and all of these things. So I'm constantly writing and serving my private clients. And so I was having to put a lot of clients on my wait list as far as getting in on these private sessions. So this is my way of serving you every single week, going in depth, using the tools. It's the most affordable way to work with me. It's only $100 for 1 month. You have access to it. Your PMDD partner will have access to it. So you can both go in there. You can watch it together. You can watch it separately. You can watch it again and again. You have unlimited access. You will get workbooks that you're going to be able to use on every single topic. What's most useful is there's going to be a what is PMDD training video that's going to explain in detail what PMDD is to show to your partner. That's going to be on the welcome page. So as soon as your partner logs on, they become a member, or you become a member, you can share the membership. It's literally one cost for the both of you. It's a video of me telling your partner what PMDD is, and what it is not. So we can stop getting frustrated with that. Like, it is not PMS. I swear to Bob, if I hear somebody else say that, like, it's not. So, yeah. And you'll have Q&A, live Q&A with me, every single week. So make sure you go and you grab one of these spots before I close membership, because I want to be able to help you specifically with tools for you and your PMDD partner on your relationship. We're not breaking up this year. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.